Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media here, and of course I am joined by Tim Picciott, the Liberty Advisor, and we have a lot to go into today because obviously the imminent threat before us, something that a lot of people are talking about, is a second shutdown. In fact, in many places we're already seeing that, and obviously it's very necessary. You got to throw people into their kennels like good little slaves, completely destroy the economy again, and that is something I really want to talk to you about today, Tim, is something a lot of people are asking about is what will happen if we have a second shutdown? Will we see two stock market crashes in 1 year? How is it going to affect the economy? With like 50% of people, small businesses unable to survive after this current shutdown, millions, hundreds of millions of people out of work worldwide, and then a second knock to the face. I mean, what could possibly go right with this? I mean, anyone with any fraction of a brain cell knows this is bad, though, I mean, we're surrounded by sheep with no actual ideas and only identities. Anyway,
not here though.
Not here at PorcFest 2020 here in New Hampshire. So I wanted to ask you, what will happen first to the stock market when we see the second shutdown?
I mean, my 45D chess and all this right from the beginning, from pretty much the day Trump was elected, which I did predict way out in advance, was that they were going to use the stock market against him, particularly the Federal Reserve. And the example that I used, and this is 4 years ago, it was talking about Nicholas Biddle, who was the second central bank chairman underneath Andrew Jackson, and what they did is they contracted the credit, and then that made obviously very bad times for the economy, and they didn't have Twitter back then, so basically there's like an 86% correlation between the stock market and whether or not the incumbent president will win. I think it's very clear that the powers that be do not want Trump in there again. The easiest thing to do is be able to contract the credit, have a second wave, get up the hysteria, and then maybe like November 8th they end the second wave, and then all of a sudden you're going to see I mean, it's going to be a bad time, and really there's no way out of what we've already done with the Federal Reserve, and so who knows, maybe the powers that be actually want Trump in there, because with Trump in there you've had people who have laid down the entire time. We've just in 2 months printed
the most powerful freedom fighters laying down, hands in their pockets, not doing anything because they're waiting on a plan.
My hands out of my pockets, so luckily that didn't apply to me. But you have it's just, I mean, in the last video we did talk about how the Federal Reserve's balance sheet, it took the entirety of the country to get up to just a couple months ago to get up to 3.6 trillion. Well, it went from 4.2 then down to 3.6, and now it's at like 7 point something. But can you imagine what people would say if that was Obama doing that, or what people would say if that was Hillary Clinton doing that? And really, my worst fears have come true, where now nobody gives a what about what's going on at the Fed. And then even worse, they're taking victory laps saying that Trump has nationalized the Fed. It's a conversation we've talked about before. But getting back to, I guess, the original topic is, can they crash the stock market? Yeah. So if they can, they will. It's something that Ernest Hancock talks about all the time. And so, if they want Trump, the best way to get him out of there, he married himself to the market from literally day one. I was like, that is the worst thing you can do, is try to perpetuate this bubble, keep it going. But he was in a rock and a hard place. And
then he gets blamed for what the Fed, what a bunch of speculators, what a bunch of, there's share buybacks, all that kind of stuff. He's
always going to get blamed. He was always going to get blamed. So you should have taken the Ron Paul principle position approach to this, instead of propping up a fake phony bubble, getting people invested, telling people to buy into the stock market, literally creating incentives that we covered like February 15th or something. And it's just, just maddening. And, we're seeing this whole second wave now kicking up. And I'm out of Arizona. So, I literally got out of Arizona to come up here in upstate New York. And then, 2 or 3 days later, they mandate masks in my county. Then all of a sudden, I leave New York. Then as soon as I leave New York, they say Arizonans have to have a 14-day quarantine. So I skipped that by like a day or two. Flying up here on American Airlines, they were threatening lifetime bans for taking off your mask. And so, you know what? I'm a guy who bought masks 6 years ago, hazmat suits 6 years ago, all this stuff. But you know what? I'll wear it when I think there might be an actual threat or bioweapon that they release. This has a 99% success, 99% success. I guess depends on who.
Survival,
and not success for Bill Gates though. Or
99.9%. I mean, the actual numbers originally they said 3.7% to 7% mortality rate. Then the CDC came out with their own study just recently, again contradicting that, saying that the rate of death if you have it is about 0.26%, and if you aren't in a nursing home, it's 0.2%, and if you don't count people over 50, it's 0.1%. And if you consider all asymptomatic cases, it's 0.04%. And if you take everything, every single person, not just people who have it, it's 0.002% chance of dying. That's the CDC themselves that say that.
And in Arizona, I think the number was like 0.12 per 100,000 for basically our age, dying from this, which, multiply that by 10 to get, it would be 1 in a million, literally 1 in a million chance in Arizona. And yet now we're the big hot spot. I don't know anyone that has it down there. I'm in a community of like 16,000 people. Like, I don't know anybody that has it down there. Not to say it doesn't exist. It's not real. But you go and back out people in nursing homes. You back out the reservation numbers, which are suspect to begin with. And you up until like about a week or two ago before I came up here, the number was, I think, 200 people have died in the state of 7 million. When you have like a very geriatric population of people in Sun City, very close to me, where, guess what? There's always people dying. You take a look at the per 100,000 death rate, basically unchanged over the past couple of years. And just to see everybody, give me liberty or give me death, unless there's a virus with a 99.99% survival rate, then in that case, take away everything and abandon the freedoms. But then you're seeing some people laying down to this. We're also seeing, like, as I've been moving across the country, seeing people who, have been talking about, looking at like homesteading. And this is a very diverse, different groups of people. These are not voluntarists, not necessarily even libertarians, not people from this pork fest community who are talking about the need to, whether it's procure self-defense. Yeah.
Well, so just carrying on, though, I mean, we're seeing, obviously, the Fed trying to prop up the stock market dramatically. To get back to the original subject matter here, it was already difficult enough with the restrictions regarding regulations, regarding taxation to begin with when it comes to small businesses, small restaurants. Then you move forward to the shutdown. 52% of small restaurants say they'll never be able to open again after the first shutdown. Then you come in with a second.
47% of homeowners say they're thinking about selling their home right now. I mean,
yeah, and then you come in with a second shutdown, and these people are finally getting back to work a little bit, trying to work on a shoestring budget, and you end up with absolutely no chance of survival. We got Luke Radowski behind us.
Social distancing.
Yeah. I'm surprised he's not wearing a mask.
He doesn't have a mask on.
Oh man,
he's running away.
Yeah, he's running away. Anyway, so but no, seriously, this is a serious issue. These guys aren't going to be able to survive, and then you've got these major monopolies that have been able to be propped up while the small guys were called non-essential, pushed out of the market essentially during this. Absolutely a complete travesty. So the Fed prints a bunch of money, throws it at the stock market. Let's get into
this whole thing was a bank robbery.
Well, let's get into how that's going to affect the dollar. That's what I wanted to get to. How is it going to affect the dollar now? Because you got them. Obviously, it's deflationary right now. They're throwing it at the stock market, but eventually, when push comes to shove, this is going to lead to massive inflation. How is this going to affect the dollar? A second shutdown.
Coincidentally enough, this is probably not what people want to hear, but it's probably going to make the dollar stronger in the short run because people always do the wrong thing at the wrong time, where you got people also rushing to buy houses too before the next lockdown because they want to make sure they have a place. Now, I can understand if you're moving from a big city out to a place like here, why you want to do that. But, I forgot what I was even just, I have so many different data points that's going on through my head right now. It's just almost too much to even fathom because there's just no way we're ever. I just want to get back to the amount of freedoms that we had to start the year, and I thought we started the year with down on a lot of freedoms, and now we're not even going to be able to get back to where we were at to start 2020. But out of every crisis, there is opportunity, and that's why the Chinese symbol for crisis and opportunity are the same. But there's going to be a lot of people who get absolutely wrecked in this, and it's just But we've seen people just laying down everywhere. I was in Massachusetts for a couple days. Probably 98% of people wearing masks. There's absolutely no talk of, oh, what do you do to help boost your immune system? What do you do to help, make sure you're going to keep healthy? And
nobody cares about science unless it benefits their point. Now, again, I'm really sick of how they're treating people and how people are just laying down to this. But also, I believe long term this will lead to a more free society where people will be fed up enough to really fight back. But right now, they're not fighting back.
Karens, we're going to have a society of Karens where they're through peer pressure, are going to make people who might not even want to wear a mask. Now I see something like an airplane where they're threatening lifetime bans, where it's like, okay, well, sometimes you got to. I guess, unfortunately, I sucked it up and had to do it, but it's just just an unfortunate situation like where we're at. I mean, they're talking about like kids going back to school with masks on. I've got a 3 and 5 year old. I mean, good luck trying to keep a mask on a 3 and 5 year old. If anything, it's going to spread the germs around even more, probably increase the chance of them getting sick. It's going to weaken their immune systems. And I'm sick of people who weigh like 270 pounds eating McDonald's all the time telling me how I need to go be healthier and how I'm risking people. It's people like me who are, multiple-time Ironman triathletes who are the quote-unquote healthier people who are out there who need to be helping build the herd immunity.
No, Tim, we have to listen to Greta Thunberg and Bill Gates. Listening science, health. No, we got to trust the plan. We got to bow down on our knees and do what they tell us, or else or I don't know what that or else will be, but they say something will happen. So we got
government violence through, either taxation or putting a gun to your head is the or else.
So the bottom line for everyone out there, obviously in your opinion, not financial advice, but regarding what people can do that own restaurants, what people can do that own businesses that have been deemed non-essential, that have been hit extremely hard by the shutdowns during the second shutdown, what can they do?
I don't know. I mean, I know, a few years ago, somebody asked Ron Paul like what they should do, and his response was buy a gun. So, I mean, at this point, if you're a business that's already been shut down, I mean, and especially a restaurant, there's certain industries and certain businesses that are not coming back. And so but then the PPP loans had helped extend some of that because you only got them paid back if you didn't go out of business and if you kept a certain percentage of those employees on the books. And so now they're on the books for that certain amount of time, and then they're probably going to be off the books which AKA fired or laid off as soon as that grace period for the PPP loans. But then there's probably going to be a second round of PPP or some other program they're going to come out with. I did see like a $4,000 vacation tax credit. So wait a minute. So if you're actually buying part of their BS narrative, why would you want to then have people then going on vacation, then spreading it around because it has to be at least 50 miles away from your house? So if you are playing devil's advocate and buying into this, then why would you want to be spreading everywhere around to get a $4,000 tax credit? It makes no sense.
None of this makes sense. None of it.
I wore a mask flying back from Acapulco for my TSA global entry interview on February 19th just to basically mess with them. And then now, and all they did was the only question they asked me was like, why do you have a mask on? No, business or pleasure, where are you coming from? What are you doing? And I was thinking, oh man, like what do I have to do? Like, how many, I've opted out like 100 times and like, I can't even, it was almost like offended that I didn't get asked like more questions for the TSA interview. But now it's like the punk rock badass thing to do would be to go in there not wearing a mask. And so it's so crazy how, it was a pretty ballsy move to do that on February 19th just to put it on in front of them to show that this whole thing as a FU to them. And now the FU to them is to not wear the mask. And it's just like this craziness. And getting back to it, we're not getting, the amount of freedoms we had to start the year, the amount of hard work we're going to have to do to get that is going to be insane. But guess what? It's going to be Joe Biden. It's going to be the Democrats sweeping everything. We're going to be in a way worse position with the Fed's balance sheets doubled. And it's because all the people like the QAnons and everyone else out there who have good intentions, great people who are probably like on board with us at 98%, but guess what? The last 2%, you guys have been Judas goaded into a psyop to lay down at the worst time possible. Not very popular for me to say this, but that's the honest truth, and in my opinion, what's going down, and we're going to be in a way worse position because of people laying down to this, Josh.
Yeah, well, that's unfortunately how history will be written regarding 2020 unless we start acting soon. People laid down and did nothing.
At least now through blockchain, it's the first time where we're going to have history where it's going to be immutable, where people can actually go through and actually see what happened. Videos like this that if they end up storing on different IPFS networks, where this will be forever and always out there. But you make sure you follow us on other platforms. Get on an email list, get on a text list. If you guys want to text Liberty Advisor to 71441, you'll get on our emergency text backup list. Also send you guys a whole bunch of free goodies like my book. But it's not even about that. I hardly ever even use it, but it's using it as a backup because don't count on us always being here because they're going for broke right now, Josh.
Right. Well, I mean, long term, I believe I'm optimistic, but short term, it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. So I hope that people are prepared out there. As I always said for many years, and people didn't listen to me until the toilet paper ran out. But food, water, shelter, self-defense are not gather things for the toughest guy on the block, and of course, gold, silver, in my opinion, as well as cryptocurrency, decentralized, properly, fundamentally useful cryptocurrency and blockchain infrastructure technology. Replace the system. Revolution usually leads to bigger government. Evolution via technology and the market is a way to go, and people have to be strong. We are entering into hard times cycle, and it'll make a lot of strong people out of it, but we have to go through it first, and it's not going to be pretty. So when the second shutdown happens, make sure to disobey, stand up. We won't be on YouTube when that happens either, so make sure to find us on flote.app as well as BitChute, because we're not even allowed to talk about this stuff anymore on YouTube. It goes against the community guidelines, so find us elsewhere. Seriously, we are probably going to leave YouTube.
Mention vitamin C, because that would be a very bad one, a very evil bad one too.
That's very extreme. You got to be careful with that. Anyway, so make sure to find us on flote.app, BitChute. Like this video, share on social media. We won't be here for long. It's completely pointless, and it's an insult to yourself and us to even be involved in this at this point, because it's an insult to our own intelligence to be on YouTube at this point. So anyway,
I'm contemplating this getting off all the platforms, just going like, it's almost like now you have low tech is almost the new high tech. We're going to text messaging, going to email, backup lists, and just, getting off all this clutter, all this like all this, stuff to get people to fight and hate each other, when really it's like the top 0.00001% bankers versus everybody else. Instead, they want to make it, black people versus white people, and all this infighting.
Distract people, divide people, divide and conquer. Julius Caesar. Seriously, order out of chaos. So make sure
doing it because it works.
Yeah, of course, people fall for it every single time. So anyway, I really appreciate all of you watching. Be vigilant, stand up, don't allow them to do this to you. They are manipulating you, misdirecting you, distracting you, and basically using you as pawns to sacrifice for the king and the queen.
Come to Anarcho Vegas, promo code WHAM.
Yeah, that as well. Anyway, I appreciate everyone joining us, and check those links below. Until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson with Tim Picciott signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change. Like what you see here, don't forget to check the links below. GoFundMe, Patreon, Subscribestar. We really can't do it without you. We've been so insanely shadow banned, about 90% at this point, and 95% demonetized. As Susan Wojcicki, the CEO of YouTube, comes in and says that she is shutting down quote-unquote controversial content and cutting out the views on this controversial content by 70%. She's been bragging about it. We need your help more than ever in this battle for truth in information. You guys are what keeps us alive, so we really appreciate just even $1 a month makes a huge difference. If everyone could give just $1 a month, we wouldn't even have to worry about competing against the mainstream propaganda networks. You can also donate to our Bitcoin address on the screen for you to scan if you please, as well as in the comments and description. Liking and sharing makes a big difference as well, and finding us on alternative social media platforms like flote.app, that's flote.app, makes a huge difference. We're at Josh Sigurdson as well as at Wham. Flote is replacing Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Tumblr, Reddit, and Patreon all in one with encrypted private messaging, and of course monetization on videos for creators, live streams with super chats in crypto, and most of all, no algorithm, because at the end of the day, it's all about reach, guys. This is all about actually reaching people with the message and waking up the public. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter, Minds, BitChute, all sorts of different platforms. Try to follow us on as many things as possible, because very soon this channel will very likely just be completely deleted from YouTube, and you'll never see us again, and you'll be stuck with only the mainstream networks. Also, come on out and see us at Anarcho Vegas 2020 in Las Vegas, Nevada in July, where such speakers such as G. Edward Griffin and many others will be speaking. You could use promo code WHAM on your VIP tickets and save 10%, as well as buy extremely cheap tickets for just $20.20. You won't find a cheaper conference than this with such amazing names. Check anarchovegas.com for more information on that. We hope to see you out there. And anyway, I really appreciate all of you guys joining us. You make it possible for us to survive in this volatile, propagandized climate Until next time, this is Josh Sigurdson signing out from World Alternative Media. Find the truth, be the change.
I'm sure you have already changed people's minds in your young age because you're involved, and I like that.